You never see the betrayal coming. That is the design. If an enemy screams in your face, if they threaten you, if they raise a fist, you are alert. Your body floods with adrenaline. Your pupils dilate. You prepare yourself. The threat is visible, and because it is visible, it is manageable. But the people who can truly damage your life, the ones who can slowly drain your energy, your confidence, and leave you staring at a ceiling fan at 3 a.m., wondering where you lost yourself. They don't scream, they whisper, they don't frown, they smile. Robert Greene has repeatedly warned that a person who assumes everyone around them operates with conscience and morality will eventually be manipulated by those who do not. Read that again. If you are operating under the assumption that everyone around you has a conscience, you are not kind. You are vulnerable. Most of you are walking through a jungle with your eyes closed, believing it's a garden. You are projecting your own empathy onto manipulative people who view your emotions not as shared experiences, but as buttons to press. Today we are going to examine the 3 most dangerous personality types you may encounter. These are not the criminals on the news. These are the people sitting next to you, the people signing your paychecks, the people you call friend. I'm going to show you the cracks in their mask. I will give you the awareness to notice what is hidden in plain sight. But be warned, once you learn to spot these types, you will never be able to unsee them. You will look at your circle and realize you have been trusting the wrong people. Before we dissect the 3 archetypes, you must understand the environment. We live in a culture that fetishizes authenticity. Just be yourself, they tell you. Be vulnerable. This is terrible advice. Robert Greene understood that human interaction is theater. The most dangerous individuals in history didn't look like monsters. They looked like saviors. They mastered the art of appearance. Robert D. Hare, the pioneer of psychopathy research, called this the mask of sanity. It is camouflage so perfect that it blinds your intuition. Why do you miss the red flags? Because you do not want to see them. To acknowledge that someone you love is a predator requires you to admit 2 painful truths. 1, that you were fooled. 2, that the world is colder than you hoped. So you make excuses for them. He's just stressed. She didn't mean it that way. They had a hard childhood. You are rationalizing your own destruction. The 3 types I am about to show you rely on this rationalization. They need your benefit of the doubt to survive. Let's strip that away. The first type is the most difficult to spot because they hide behind the ultimate shield, virtue. I call this type the benevolent saboteur. In the corporate world, they are the concerned middle manager. In the family dynamic, they are the martyr. In Robert Greene terms, this is the fox disguised as the shepherd. Their defining trait is covert aggression. George K. Simon wrote extensively about this. Covert aggression is the art of inflicting damage while retaining the appearance of innocence. If you confront them, you look like the crazy one. You look paranoid. Here is how they operate. They do not attack you directly. That is too messy. It leaves fingerprints. Instead, they use concern as a Trojan horse for destruction. Imagine a workplace scenario. You are up for a promotion. You are the clear choice. The benevolent saboteur doesn't go to the boss and say, "Don't hire him. He's incompetent." That makes them look jealous. Instead, they close the door, lower their voice and say, "I'm really rooting for him. I just hope he can handle the pressure this time. You know how he gets when things get tight. I'd hate to see him burn out again. I'm just worried about his mental health." Do you see the elegance of the violence? On the surface, it sounds empathetic. I'm worried. I'm rooting for him. But the subtext is fatal. They planted a seed of doubt about your stability. They framed your competence as fragility. If the boss decides not to promote you, the saboteur can look you in the eye and say, "I tried my best for you." And the terrifying part is, they often believe their own mask. The saboteur uses a weapon called triangulation. They never have a problem with you directly. Everyone else does. I don't mind that you're late, but the team is starting to talk. I love how free-spirited you are, but your family is worried you're losing your way. They create a phantom army. They turn you against a group that may not even be angry with you. They isolate you. And who becomes the only person you can trust? The messenger? The saboteur? The microtel? How do you spot them before the knife is in your back? Watch how they deliver bad news. A normal person feels discomfort when delivering pain. They hesitate. Their eyes drop. They want to get it over with. The benevolent saboteur lingers. Watch their mouth carefully. There is often a flash of what psychologists call duping delight, a suppressed smile when they tell you that you failed, or that people are gossiping about you. They feed on your emotional reaction. They want you to break down so they can comfort you. Why? Because when they are comforting you, they are above you. It is a power dynamic. They do not want to destroy you completely. They want to clip your wings just enough so you never fly away from them. They need you broken but functional. A pet. If you notice someone whose help always leaves you feeling smaller, whose advice always makes you question your own sanity, run. This is not love. This is ownership. The second personality type is louder but equally misunderstood. We assume people want peace. We assume everyone wants a calm, stable life. This is a fatal projection. There is a subset of people who are allergic to peace. Their nervous system is wired differently. Silence feels like death to them. They need high-intensity emotion to feel alive, even if that emotion is negative. I call this type the entropy engine. You know this person. When they enter a room, the temperature changes. There is always a crisis, a medical emergency that does not add up, a feud with a neighbor, a stolen wallet, a treacherous ex-lover. Every day feels like the season finale of a drama series where they are the star. In Dangerous Personalities, Joe Navarro discusses unstable personalities, but the entropy engine is more specific. They do not simply suffer from chaos, they manufacture it. Why? Because chaos creates a vacuum of logic, and inside a vacuum of logic, the loudest emotion wins. If you are calm, rational, or stoic, you are the perfect target for the entropy engine. You become the fuel. They do something irrational, and you immediately try to make sense of it. Why did you spend the rent money? Why did you tell my secrets to a stranger? You spend hours explaining, arguing, pleading, trying to use logic while they become energized by your exhaustion. They feed off your regulation. They are vampires of stability. The mechanism is the shifting goalpost. You cannot win an argument with an entropy engine because the argument was never about the topic. It was always about the adrenaline. If you prove them wrong on point A, they instantly pivot to point B. Maybe I didn't pay the bill, but remember 3 years ago when you looked at that waitress? You clearly never loved me. It is dizzying by design. Psychologists sometimes call this word salad, a chaotic stream of accusations, projections, and irrelevant details designed to short-circuit your critical thinking. Robert Greene explained that control is often maintained not through strength, but through emotional destabilization. The entropy engine uses exhaustion as a weapon. They wear you down until surrender feels easier than resistance. Fine, you're right. I'm sorry. Just stop screaming. And in that moment, you hand them your sovereignty. The warning sign, the entropy engine, often reveals themselves early, but you mistake it for passion or intensity. They will tell you, I hate drama. Rule of thumb, anyone who feels the need to announce that they hate drama is almost certainly the source of it. They will have a history of crazy exes. If one ex was crazy, that's bad luck. If all their exes were crazy, you are looking at the common denominator. They will test your boundaries with small bursts of disrespect, disguised as jokes or accidents. They show up an hour late. They forget your wallet. They make a scene in a restaurant. They are calibrating. They are checking to see how much chaos you will tolerate. If you stay, you are signing a contract. You are accepting a role as the stabilizer for their instability. But here is the dark truth. You cannot stabilize them. You are a bucket trying to fill a black hole. The more love you pour in, the more it disappears. And eventually, when you are empty, when you are a shell of your former self, they will discard you. Why? Because you are no longer fun. You are boring. You are depressed. They will move on to a fresh, full battery, and they will tell the new person that you were the crazy one. Take a breath. I want you to pause the video in your mind for a second. Is there a face that appeared in your head while I was describing these two types? A co-worker, a partner, a family member. That tightness in your chest, that is your instinct trying to break through years of conditioning. You have been told to be nice. Niceness is a social construct. It is compliant. It is agreeable. Robert Greene argues for effectiveness, capability, and psychological awareness. Being nice to a predator does not make them nice. It makes them well-fed. The third type we are about to discuss is the rarest, but by far the most lethal. The first two types, the saboteur and the entropy engine, are driven by human needs: power, attention, validation. The third type is different. They don't want your validation. They don't have a need in the way you understand it. They are hollow, and because they are hollow, they can become whatever you need them to be until it is too late. This is the type that breaks the strongest men and women. This is the type that leaves no bruises, only ghosts. Let's descend to the bottom of the well. The third type is the Robert Greene ideal, realized in the darkest possible way. I call this third type the mirror. In clinical terms, you might see overlap with the psychopath or the extreme narcissist, but the mirror describes the methodology more than the diagnosis. The mirror has no fixed identity. The 48 Laws of Power talks about the power of formlessness, the ability to adapt, shift shape, and never become fully defined. Most people are rigid. You have preferences, morals, political views, hobbies. The mirror has none of these, or rather, they have all of them, depending on who they are sitting across from. When you first meet the mirror, it feels like destiny. It feels like magic. You love 19th century French poetry. I was just reading Baudelaire. You felt abandoned by your father. My childhood was exactly the same. You hate corporate culture. I've been planning to quit and live in a van too. You think you have found your soulmate. You haven't. You have found a reflection. They are data mining you. In the early stages called the love bombing phase, they are downloading your personality. They are studying your micro-expressions. They are learning your deepest insecurities and your highest desires. Why? To build a custom-made mask that fits perfectly over your expectations. The mirror gives you exactly what you feel you were denied in life. If you were neglected, they give you obsessive attention. If you were controlled, they give you wild freedom. If you felt stupid, they treat you like a genius. This is not affection. This is seduction. And as Robert Greene repeatedly warns, people are often so desperate to believe in the illusion, they ignore the deception standing directly in front of them. The trap begins once they hook you. Once you become chemically addicted to the validation they provide, the mask shifts. The text messages stop coming instantly. The praise becomes subtle criticism. I love that you're ambitious. But don't you think you're becoming unrealistic? You panic. You try harder. You chase the perfect version of them you met in the beginning. And this is where the feeding starts. The mirror feeds on control. They enjoy watching you twist yourself into knots, trying to please them. It confirms their superiority. To them, you are an object, a toy. Martha Stout explains that the defining characteristic of a sociopath is the complete absence of conscience. Imagine that. No guilt, no remorse, no anxiety about hurting others. Imagine what you could do if you had no conscience. You could look a crying lover in the eyes and feel nothing, or perhaps mild amusement. You could ruin a colleague's career and go eat a sandwich with perfect appetite. The mirror operates in this state. They are not burdened by the emotional gravity that holds you down. How do you spot a mirror before they consume you? Look for the two perfect alignment. Human beings are messy. We have friction. We disagree. If someone agrees with everything you say, if they share every interest, if the connection feels effortless and instantaneous, be terrified. Look for the dead eyes. This sounds poetic, but it is biological. When a normal person smiles, the orbicularis oculi muscles contract. The eyes crinkle. The mirror often smiles only with their mouth. The eyes remain flat, predatory, reptilian. They are watching you react to the smile. Look for the history of reinvention. Does this person have long-term friends? Or do they have a series of disconnected lives that never touch each other? I used to live in London. Then I was a chef in Peru. Then I worked in finance in Tokyo. Maybe they are adventurous, or maybe they burned every bridge in those cities and had to reset the simulation. The mirror leaves a trail of charred bodies, but they never look back at the explosion. Now you see them. The benevolent saboteur, the entropy engine, the mirror. You are likely feeling a cold realization in your gut. You have identified the infection. Now your ego wants the cure. You want to expose them. You want to win the argument. You want to make them feel the pain they caused you. Stop. This is your ego talking, and your ego is going to get you killed. You cannot win against these personality types. You cannot fix them. You cannot expose them without getting mud on your own soul. To fight a pig, you must get in the mud. The pig likes the mud. You do not. Robert Greene taught that conflict should always be calculated and decisive. However, with these specific psychological profiles, the only winning move is not to play. But you cannot always disappear completely. These people are sometimes your bosses, your co-parents, your landlords, your relatives. So you must learn the art of strategic invisible warfare. You must become unpalatable. You must become a ghost while you are still in the room. Here is the playbook. The first strategy is well known in survivor circles, but rarely executed with enough precision. It is called the gray rock method, but I want to teach you the Robert Greene version. Standard gray rock means being boring. Robert Greene style gray rock means becoming a psychological void. These types, especially the entropy engine and the mirror, feed on supply. Supply is emotion. It doesn't matter if you are screaming, "I hate you," or crying, "I love you." To them, it is the same currency. Attention. Confirmation that they still control your nervous system. Every time they provoke you, they are handing you a hook. They are waiting for you to bite. Do not bite. When the saboteur whispers a passive-aggressive insult, do not defend yourself. Do not become emotional. Simply look at them. Pause for 3 seconds and say, "Okay," then return to your work. When the entropy engine creates another dramatic crisis, respond with calm neutrality and walk away. Flatten your emotional expression, monotone voice, minimal eye contact, no interesting reactions. Become as emotionally stimulating as a gray rock in a driveway. How was your weekend? Fine. Did you hear what they said about you? No. You are starving the beast. A predator always calculates energy versus reward. If you provide zero emotional reward, eventually you stop being worth the hunt. They will escalate at first. They will push harder. They will test your limits, trying to force emotion out of you. Hold the line. Eventually, the predator becomes bored and moves toward easier prey. The second strategy is the information diet. Information is ammunition. Every dream you share, every fear you confess, every detail about your past becomes a weapon they store for later use. The benevolent saboteur uses your insecurities to undermine you. The mirror uses your desires to manipulate you. From this moment forward, you are a vault. Robert Greene said that everyone sees what you appear to be, but very few experience what you really are. Stop oversharing. Stop believing that emotional exposure is always safe. If you are dealing with these personality types, they should not know your next move, your financial situation, your relationship problems, or your deepest fears. When you speak, speak in generalities. Use what military strategists call the fog of war. Be vague, be unreadable. If they ask, "What are you planning for your career?" you say, "I'm keeping my options open." If they ask, "Are you angry with me?" you say, "I've just been busy." You deny them the data they need to construct a psychological model of you. Because if they cannot predict you, they cannot control you. Power always rests on the ability to anticipate another person's behavior, become unpredictable by becoming unreadable. Sometimes gray rock is not enough. Sometimes the danger becomes financial, physical, or deeply psychological. In those situations, you have to leave. But leaving a dark personality type is the most dangerous phase of the relationship. Psychologists call this the extinction burst. When a toddler realizes a tantrum is no longer working, they do not stop immediately. They scream louder. When a manipulator realizes they are losing control over you, they escalate. They threaten suicide. They destroy property. They launch smear campaigns before you can tell your side of the story. You must be prepared for this escalation before you attempt escape. Robert Greene advises that when a decisive action must be taken, hesitation becomes dangerous. In this context, that means total severance. You cannot stay friends. You cannot leave the door half open. You cannot meet for one last coffee to get closure. Closure is a myth with these people. They will use that final conversation to hook you back into the cycle. Block the number. Block the email. Block the friends acting as flying monkeys carrying information between both sides. You must disappear from their psychological reality. It will feel cruel because you are empathetic. You will feel guilt. Am I being too harsh? Maybe they can change. Listen carefully. That guilt is a programmed response. They installed that button inside you. Cutting off a gangrenous limb is not cruelty. It is survival. If you hesitate, if you keep looking back, you become vulnerable again. Burn the bridge. Watch it burn. Then turn around and walk toward the horizon. But here is the deeper question. Why do these people exist? And more importantly, why do we let them into our lives? This is the part that hurts. Most people think they attract manipulators simply because they are too nice. That is not the full truth. We attract these types because we carry unresolved voids inside ourselves. The mirror can only reflect what already exists in front of it. If they appeared to you as a savior, it is because some part of you was desperate to be saved. If the entropy engine trapped you with drama, it may be because peace felt unfamiliar or empty to you. These predators are not only enemies. In a dark and painful way, they are teachers. They expose the cracks in your self-esteem. They reveal where your boundaries are weakest. And if you survive them, you become awake in a way most people never do. You realize that trust is not a gift you hand to strangers. It is a loan that must be repaid with consistency and character. You realize that empathy without boundaries becomes self-destruction. You stop searching for a savior. You become your own protector. The world is not a nursery. It is a landscape of competing interests. Most people are good, but the people who are not, they are the ones who shape your life the most. There is a Japanese art called kintsugi. Broken pottery is repaired with gold instead of hiding the cracks. The damage becomes part of the beauty. The object becomes more valuable because it was broken. You have been broken. Now fill the cracks with gold. Learn the lesson. Close the door and never let them